Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Just Law on IQRA TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia and I'll be with you for the next hour. As our regular viewers are aware, on Just Law we normally discuss an area of law which is of interest to you, our viewers. Secondly, and more importantly, Just Law is a live show. So whatever questions that you have on any aspect of English law, please feel free to call in and hopefully I will be able to give you some guidance in relation to the queries that you have. On this show, I should be able to advise you on the whole spectrum of English law, whether your query relates to immigration law matters, family law matters, personal injury matters, whatever it is, whether as long as it relates to English law, I should be able to advise you in relation to that. On this show, we get many questions on immigration law, which is fantastic, but even if it is the case that your query relates to other areas, please feel free to call in. Now, as always, we normally discuss an area of law which is of interest to you, our viewers, something which is topical, something on which we get a number of questions. And today what I want to do is to discuss visitor applications. On the majority of shows that we do, we always get one or two questions relating to visitor applications, and unfortunately normally it's not always good news. The callers that we get normally talk to us about applications that have been made by family members where the applications for a visit visa have been refused. So bearing that in mind, visit visa applications, how to make them, why the applications are refused, etc. It's a good topic to look at and hopefully informative for our viewers as well. Now, although we're talking about visitor immigration applications today, even if your query relates to other aspects of immigration law, we get numerous questions on spouse applications, extension applications, nationality applications, etc. So even if the question relates to other areas of the law, please do feel free to call in. So our questions aren't related or necessarily restricted to what we are discussing today, which is visitor applications. Now, visitor applications, it's one of those categories where 99% of people around the world, they are eligible to apply for a visit visa to come to the United Kingdom. Very few people are excluded from that category. Normally it's people who've been deported or banned for some reason from applying. If you take those people out, the vast majority of people are eligible to apply for a visit visa to come to the United Kingdom, irrespective of where they are applying from. It could be America, Canada, Australia, or more commonly, in terms of where our viewers normally find their family members applying from, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So wherever it is, Middle East, wherever it is, applicants are free to apply for visit visas. Now what you tend to find with our cases is that the visit visa application is normally being made by family members who want to come to the United Kingdom to see their family. It may be that somebody's parent, mother, father, they want to come to the United Kingdom to see their children who have settled in the UK, to see their grandchildren who are settled in the UK. It may be it's an uncle or aunt who wants to come to the United Kingdom to see their nephew, niece, cousin, whatever it is, whatever the family relationship is. But the vast majority of applications that lawyers tend to do in the UK relate to family members, close family members who want to come to the United Kingdom as a visitor to see their loved ones. And the reality is that is quite normal, that is quite natural. In the same way that we go back to the country that our parents, our grandparents are from in order to see family members, in the same way family members who are abroad want to come to the United Kingdom. So that's the normal category that we come across. Occasionally you have sponsors in the UK who want to call not their family members but their friends to come to the United Kingdom to visit them in the UK. Again, that's perfectly permissible, whether it's a family member that's coming, whether it's a friend who's coming to the United Kingdom, or whether there are people who are simply coming for tourism purposes, not to see family or friends, just to see the site, just to see the country. All those different categories of people, they all fall within the same category, which is that of a visitor. Now, there are other types of visitors as well, which we don't necessarily need to look at, such as business visitors. There are those who can come here to sit an exam, etc., such as doctors, dentists who want to come here to sit the PLAB exams. They fall within the visitor category as well. But really what we are concerned with is, as far as our immigration visitor applications are concerned, it's family members who want to come here and maybe occasionally friends who want to come to the United Kingdom. Now, there are certain countries for whom there's no requirement to obtain a pre-entry clearance as a visitor to come to the United Kingdom, such as those who have, for example, a passport for America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and certain other countries. They are simply able to get on the plane, come to the UK, present themselves at the airport, and obtain their visitor visa at the airport for 6 months. Unfortunately, a lot of our clients don't fall within that category. So typically, if we look at India, Pakistan, etc., they do need to apply for a visa. We'll look at that in greater detail after we've taken the next call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Well, Islam, it's not for Pakistan, but I just want to know, a friend of mine has actually got a visa.
Okay.
She's been here for about 10 years or so, and the Home Office have allowed them to stay here for 2.5 years.
I understand, okay.
But if she wants to go and visit family in Ireland,
Yep.
in Dublin, basically, does she need a visa to go there?
You see, the difficulty is because the nationality isn't one which permits travel to Dublin without a visa. She would. So what normally happens with Ireland is if you belong to certain countries, visa travel is free. Now the fact that you have leave to remain in the UK doesn't permit you to travel to Ireland. So in reality, you do need a visa. Now, there are some exceptions, but it won't apply here. For India, for China, those who come on a visit visa to England are allowed to go to Ireland. So there are certain categories where there are exceptions. But in your situation, where it's just somebody with a 2.5 year, sounds like a human rights visa, they would need a visa to go to Ireland. Now, the reality is that, when you travel to Ireland, if you go on a ferry, in a car, etc., the reality is there's no border check. So a lot of people actually travel to Ireland not realizing that they do need a visa, and there's no problem because there's no checks, and if you've traveled to Ireland, if on the way back you're coming back to the UK, there's a check, it's not a problem because you've got a visa to come into the UK, so that you can't be stopped on the border. So there's normally no checks leaving England on a ferry to go to Ireland. So a lot of people actually do travel to Ireland without a visa, and nothing really happens. Contrast that with Northern Ireland. You're absolutely permitted to go to Northern Ireland, such as Belfast. You're permitted to go there because that's part of the United Kingdom. But it's Ireland, Dublin is different. So some people might go to Northern Ireland because they're able to, and they drive down to Ireland. There's no border checks. So in practice, people travel around these countries without a visa, but if you actually look at it, you would need a visa to travel to and fro from these countries. But in practice, people never get a visa. But that's the.
So if they, if they want to go, can they apply for a visa? Will they get it?
Yeah, there'll be no problem. Once you've got a visa to live in the United Kingdom on a semi-permanent basis, 2.5 year visa, there is normally no problem travelling to Ireland or to any other European country.
Right. Okay.
So even Paris.
But just get a visa.
You just apply for a visa.
Just get a visa, and that should be fine.
Yeah, because they look at the fact that you're allowed to stay in the UK, so there's no problem. You're not going to overstay in Ireland or somewhere else when you've got the right to stay here in the UK.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. May Allah bless you.
I mean, Jazakallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your call. Good office. So let's see. question more towards a visit, somebody wishing to travel to Ireland. And just on our topic of obtaining a visit visa to come to the United Kingdom, some countries, when you obtain a visa to come to, when you obtain a visit visa to come to the United Kingdom, that then automatically permits you to travel to Ireland as well. Very few countries actually fall within that category. Otherwise, you'd need a visa to go to Ireland, a separate visa to go to Ireland as well. So just coming back to what we were looking at before with visit visas. Obviously, there's a whole host of different types of people who want to come to the UK. Normally, we deal with family members, close family members who want to come to the United Kingdom. The problem is that despite a full proper effort being made to submit complete applications, a lot of these applications end up being rejected. Now, what I want to do today, first part of the show, what I want to do is to look at how do you actually go about making this application? What kind of documents do you submit? How do you make the process one where you're more likely to succeed than fail? So what is it that you need to do? Let's look at that in the first part. And then secondly, in the second part, we'll look at why are these applications so commonly refused? And if your application is refused, what can you do? And on that, it may well be that we've got limited options, but we'll look at the options that exist for that as well. So how do you go about making an application for a visit visa? The process is relatively straightforward in the sense that the visit visa application is an application which is made online. So online, whether it's done from the United Kingdom by the sponsor or whether it's done abroad, more commonly done by agents, immigration agents who are based in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, wherever it is. So it doesn't really matter where the online form is completed. The point is the whole process starts with the submission of an online form. Now, just to note, if you are going to use an agent abroad, you have to make sure that it's somebody who is experienced in this field, somebody who's going to do a thorough job to try and get things right, because a lot of refusals come about because simple mistakes have been made in completing the application form, and so it's a very easy refusal for the Home Office. So practicality, from looking at it from a practical point of view, if you're doing it from abroad, make sure you have an agent who is experienced in these matters. But the process starts with the submission of an online form. Now, with a sponsor in the United Kingdom, where he or she gets involved is that the relative who's abroad will normally say to the sponsor, you need to send us documents inviting us to come to the UK. You need to send us a sponsorship declaration, sponsorship letter, etc. So that's the role that a sponsor in the UK plays for a visitor application. That's where they come in. Online forms can be done anywhere. Normally it's done by the agent abroad. But here, when you are contacted, it's normally because you're being asked to complete a sponsorship declaration, to send documents confirming that you are willing to sponsor your relative to come to the United Kingdom. So what is this sponsorship declaration, sponsorship letter that you have to do? It's basically, all it is you confirming as a sponsor in a letter that you're inviting this relative to come to the UK, to come to stay with you, and secondly, you confirming that they will be staying at your house and that there's enough space for them to stay with you, and you confirming as the sponsor that you would be able to maintain them in the United Kingdom without recourse to public funds, and if need be, you'll be able to buy their ticket to return back to their home country. So you're explaining really from your end the purpose of the visit. You're supporting the purpose that the applicant is putting forward. So it might be that they're coming simply to visit you. They might be attending a family wedding. It may be that somebody within the family. They're giving birth, they want to be here for the birth, they want to help. If it's a mother who's abroad, mother might want to come to the United Kingdom if the daughter's giving birth and be here to assist the daughter in the United Kingdom during the period when she's given birth. So what the sponsor's doing initially is explaining why is it that the relative is coming here, simply to visit, or if there's a reason behind it, explaining what the reason is behind it. Now, what tends to happen is that these sponsorship documents are normally done by lawyers. A lawyer will normally draft up a sponsorship declaration, which will explain all this, which will then deal with the sponsor in the UK, that person's income, that person's accommodation, that person confirming that the family member will be coming here, staying with them, etc. Even though that document is prepared by a lawyer, and it's quite a formal sort of declaration that lawyers prepare, the sponsor then signs the document and the lawyer witnesses the signature, etc. Although that's the norm, the reality is that you don't need necessarily to do that. You don't have to instruct a lawyer to do a sponsorship declaration. You could simply draft a short letter explaining the relevant things in a letter addressed to the Home Office or addressed to the High Commission, simply saying, look, my relative's coming to the UK, they're going to stay with me, it's my mum, it's my dad or brother, sister, whatever it is, they're going to stay with me, and look, I've got enough money to look after them whilst they're here. So it doesn't necessarily have to be done through a lawyer here. It can be done by you as the sponsor, just drafting a letter of support. It's really as simple as that. But as I said, normally you as the sponsor will be contacted by your family members from abroad who'll say, look, can you send us the sponsorship declaration or letter inviting us to come to the UK, confirming that we will be staying with you. So the starting point is this document. Whether it's a declaration, whether it's a letter, it doesn't matter. It's more looking at, the form doesn't matter, it's the substance which matters. Substance being, what is it that you're saying, whether it's in a document prepared by a lawyer or whether it's in a letter drafted by you. What you're saying is the reason that they're coming here and that they're coming to stay with you and you're going to look after them financially. So that's the document. There's that in itself is not necessarily very complicated. What you need to do as a sponsor, and this is more important, is provide certain supporting documents to show that you are able to stand as a sponsor. And that's the more important bit in terms of your role as a sponsor when you have a relative who wants to come and visit you in the United Kingdom, making an immigration application. Now, what are these documents that you need to prepare when you're sponsoring your relative to come to the UK? What is it that the Home Office will be interested in? Well, obviously, they'll want to know logically, if you think about it, and we'll go through this in a bit of detail. Logically, they want to know who is it that's the sponsor, who is it that this relative from abroad is visiting. So they'll want to know your identity, your status, which is logical. They'll want to know if you're saying that you are able to support them in the United Kingdom, you'll be looking after them, feeding them, clothing them, etc. whilst they are coming to the United Kingdom. They'll want to know, is this person able to do that? What's your financial situation? And if you're going to be accommodating them, they're not going to be living in a hotel, which is unusual. They'll be living with you in your house. Have you got a house? Is there enough space for them to live with you? So it's logical in terms of what the Home Office, what the embassy is looking at. Who are you as a sponsor? Have you got enough money to look after them if they're relying on you? And is there evidence that you can accommodate them? So that's your role as a sponsor. You're supporting essentially the application. That's basically what you're doing. You're showing, demonstrating your status. You're demonstrating your ability financially to look after your relatives who are coming here, and you're demonstrating that there's enough space for them to live with you as well. And then separately, as I said at the outset, if there is a particular reason why your relatives want to come to the United Kingdom, it may be that they're coming for a wedding, they're coming because somebody's giving birth, it may well be that somebody is ill and they are coming to the United Kingdom. You want to not just simply say that this is why they're coming, to back it up as well. So let's deal with this last point first, and then let's deal with the kind of evidence that you need to submit in terms of your finances, in terms of your accommodation. So the purpose of the visit, what is it that you can submit? Again, it's common sense. If somebody is coming here for a wedding, you can submit evidence of the wedding, such as the wedding card, such as there may be a hall that's been booked, a function hall that's been booked already, so a receipt for that confirming that the venue, the wedding venue has already been booked. So you can do that. If somebody's coming because a close family member is giving birth and they want to be here for the birth, you can submit evidence of when the person's going to give birth, whether it's a doctor's letter or some other form of documentation which confirms when birth is going to be given. If somebody's coming here because a close family member is unwell, you could get a doctor's letter confirming the nature of the illness, and doctor confirming that they would ask that the application be considered sympathetically, etc. If the application is being made because the close family member is simply unable to travel to their home country to see their loved ones, again a doctor's letter could help there, explaining, look, this is the reason why the application has been made. This particular sponsor in the UK who's going to be visited, that person's unable to travel for whatever reason. So whatever the purpose is, if there is a specific purpose, get confirmation of that, get confirmation or get documentary evidence which corroborates the purpose that's been put forward for the visit. That helps. If we then move on to what the next thing is, as I said, the Home Office obviously wants to know who is it that is sponsoring the person from abroad. The simplest document that needs to be submitted for that is the passport for the individual. If it's a British passport, it's not a problem. If somebody has for example, Pakistani passport, then further documents need to be submitted. We'll come back to this after we've taken the next call. Hello, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम। मुफ्ती साहब है
जी? नहीं, ये लीगल प्रोग्राम है अभी।
अच्छा
जी, इमिग्रेशन का प्रोग्राम चल रहा है जी।
नहीं, मुझे मुफ्ती साहब से
मुफ्ती साहब का शो है अराउंड 7 o'clock को, सो आधे घंटे के बाद है जी। थैंक यू फॉर योर कॉल। So if somebody is, so whatever the purpose is, you'll explain the purpose of the visit. If however there's no real purpose behind the visit, it's simply a visit, then it's fine to say, look, they're just coming to see us. Moving on to what we were discussing just before that call, where you're demonstrating what your status is in the United Kingdom. If you're British, it's easy, just simply to show you a copy of your British passport. If you don't have a British passport, then the Home Office will want to know what the basis of your stay as a sponsor is in the United Kingdom. So if you have indefinite leave to remain, you submit evidence of that. If you're on a temporary visa, you're on a work permit visa, etc., that's absolutely fine. You can still sponsor your relatives to come to the UK, but again, you will submit evidence of that as well to say, look, don't have a British passport, I have this passport, but this is my visa status. Obviously, this is again common sense. The Home Office wants to know the status because if somebody who's overstayed in the United Kingdom, common sense says the Home Office isn't going to allow that person to stand as a sponsor for a relative who's coming over. So identity and status of the sponsor is obviously important. So that's one of the things that they will look at. What is the purpose of the trip? Can you as a sponsor, if you're supporting a visit application, can you as a sponsor get documents together for the purpose for the trip? Can you demonstrate what your status is in the United Kingdom? So these are a couple of easy things that you need to do. The main thing that the Home Office is looking at with our immigration applications is your financial status, and we'll look at that after we've taken the next call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. I have a question, right? If you're sponsoring someone, a family relative from Pakistan, do they have to show their own bank statement as well? Like the financial, if they're calling a mother-in-law or mother from Pakistan.
Yeah.
So what is the financial strength they have to show?
Yeah. Now, very interesting question. Yes, they do. Because what I was talking about, they do. Because here I was saying, look, you have a sponsor in the UK, they've got money in their bank normally, they will look after the relative who's coming over, which is all well and good. But the Home Office still wants to know the person who's abroad, they want to know their financial circumstances, even though they may not be spending a penny on this visit.
Right.
Even though everything is being paid for by the sponsor, they want to know what is their financial circumstances. Because the problem is the only people who are financially well off are unfortunately getting visas at the moment. So they simply focus on the relatives' financial circumstances. So they want to know, how much money do you have in your bank? Where has that money come from? What's your income? What assets do you have? So the reality is everything depends on their financial circumstances.
Okay. And if I say, can you just roughly, how much money should be for a 2 months visit visa?
Okay, for the sponsor in the UK or relative abroad?
No. The Pakistan, in Pakistan, the visitor.
Pakistan, even if they've got about 1 or 2 lakhs in their account, it's fine.
That'll be okay.
It's okay.
Oh, that's fine.
But the issue isn't savings, how much savings you have. That's not the issue. They want to look at where is the money coming from? What is their income? That's what they're looking at. No? So if they've got
I understand that. If they're doing job and the salary is coming into their account,
that's what they're bothered about.
So that'll be fine.
That's what they're bothered. Yeah, they're not bothered really about your savings as such. Is how much are you earning? Does your bank statement show you are earning what you are claiming to earn? That's where the problem is.
Right. And how long bank statement we have to show?
Pakistan, normally it should be longer. It should be 6 months to 12 months.
6 to 12 months.
Because in the UK, only 3 months is fine. But there in Pakistan, they want to look at their financial history. So they look at longer bank statements. So if somebody says, I'm working and this is what I earn, they want to look at, have you been earning this in the last 12 months? Has money been coming in to your account in the last 12 months? If they say, I've got a business, has that money been coming in over the last 12 months? As a minimum, my personal view is you should put about 12 months bank statements in with proper, consistent income going into the bank account.
Right. Thank you very, very much.
No problem. Thank you very much for your call.
Cheers.
Thank you. Now, so just going back. So as far as the sponsor is concerned, and I'm going to go back in the second part of the show to look at what they need to do in India and Pakistan or Bangladesh, wherever it is. But as far as the sponsor is concerned, one of the key things is what is their financial circumstances. Now, the reason the sponsor is showing their own financial circumstances is the sponsor normally says, they will stay with me, I will pay for their expenses. The sponsor might even be saying, I will pay for their tickets. So the Home Office obviously wants to know, what is this sponsor? What are they earning? How much money do they have in their bank account? So in the simplest of applications, what the sponsor in the UK on a visit application, what the sponsor has to produce is, if the sponsor is working, as a minimum 3 months wage slips, 3 months bank statements, and maybe P60, maybe an employment letter. So what the sponsor is saying is, look, I will look after my relative, my mom or dad who's coming to the UK on a visit visa, and I am financially able to do that. Here are my wage slips, here are my bank statements, and I've got some savings. How much savings does a sponsor need? It depends. It depends on 2 things in practice. How many people are you sponsoring, and are you paying for their tickets or not? So let me take one example. If you're sponsoring one person and paying for their tickets, typically you should have about £1,500 to £2,000 in your account. If you're sponsoring 2 people, and paying for their tickets, you should have, let's say, something slightly more, £2,500 in your bank account. So think about it. If you're saying you're going to pay for their tickets, you should have enough money to cover that, plus about £1,000 on top to pay for their expenses during the month or 2 months that they stay here. Now the reality is it doesn't cost that much to look after relatives when they come here and when they stay with you. But there's no point taking a risk. If you are standing as a sponsor, make sure you have enough money in your bank account. So one person coming over, let's say your mother's been sponsored to come over and you're saying, I'm going to pay for the tickets. Have £1,500 to £2,000 in your bank account so you're able to do that. That's in addition to showing that you're working, you've got money coming in, have the savings in place as well to be able to sponsor your relative. Now, so that's the reason, corroborate the reason why somebody's coming over, whether it's to attend a wedding, etc. Show what your identity is, show what your financial position is, show in terms of documents what savings you have. Finally, you need to demonstrate, just on that, let me just go back. If you're in receipt of benefits, it's not a problem. Show the documents which confirm you're in receipt of benefits. If it's working tax credit, child tax credits, put that document in. It's not a problem. If your partner is working, if the husband is the main sponsor, wife is working, wife has savings, put her documents in as well. So put her passport in, put her, if she's working, her wage slips in. If she's got savings, put her bank statements in as well. So, she goes in as a joint sponsor. So that deals with your ability to look after somebody financially. Finally, in terms of what a sponsor should be doing from the UK, is that if your relative is coming to the UK to stay with you in the United Kingdom, so staying in your house, put evidence in that you own the house that they will be coming to stay in. If you don't own the house, if you have a tenancy agreement, put the tenancy agreement in to show that you've got the right to stay in that property. If you're calling a number of people to the UK, it might be an idea to get a housing report as well, so that they are satisfied that there's no overcrowding, there's enough space for your relatives to stay here. So let's run through very quickly, in a very easy, simple application, what a sponsor has to do. Let's say mother coming to the UK for somebody's wedding. So confirm that there is a wedding taking place, get the wedding card, the wedding hall booking, get that. You, the sponsor in the UK, submit your passport to show your status. Got a partner in the UK, husband or wife, put her documents in as well to confirm their status in the UK. Wage slips, 3 months wage slips, 3 months bank statements, maybe an employer's letter confirming that you're working. Partner has savings, put their documents in as well. Accommodation, put documents in to confirm they can stay with you in terms of your ownership of the property, confirmation. If you're a tenant, your tenancy agreement. If you're calling a number of people over, you need to get a housing report as well. So typically, you as a sponsor in the United Kingdom, that's what you need to do in terms of supporting the applicant's application from abroad. Let's take a short break. When we come back, let's look at what they need to do from abroad to make their application strong. We'll be back in the next few minutes.